Welcome to Data for Future. Have you ever thought about what is the carbon footprint of the building you live or work in? Of course, to answer this question, we need to think about the carbon footprint of building, what it is. Of the obvious part, it increases all the energy usage that happens within the building. And then on the other side, the water that's used by the building to pump the water in, there's also more energy consumption. And then something less obvious would be the construction part of the building, right? To transport all the materials to the site, this carbon footprint, and also as well as the material themselves, they also embodied certain carbon footprint. So why does this matter? It's because buildings are actually responsible for more than 40% of global energy usage. And moreover, they provide as much as 1/3 of the global greenhouse gas emission. So when I heard about the idea of the business Designable, which has a cool slogan called Sustainable Building on Demand, it caught my attention. And I'm very impressed by how Designable is disrupting the real estate industry by bringing sustainability into the equation of building construction and usage. So today, without me giving much spoiler, I invited Andrés, the CEO of Designable, to the show to tell us more. What is exactly sustainable building on demand? Welcome, Andrés.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Tammy, for having me today. Yeah, it's a really great question, actually. I hope we have some time in the coming minutes to solve some answers. Mm-hmm. The other day, I was listening a podcast, and this guy from US said that the second material used in the world after water was concrete. Mm-hmm. And only concrete was responsible for 8% of the global CO2 emissions. So I think we are addressing a huge opportunity here to trying to cut global change, right? Just thinking on how actually buildings can help in this direction. So more than happy to share my thoughts here.
Yeah. Why don't you start by introducing to the audience what is Designable? How is it different?
Well, Designable, we say is, as you said, what we do is boosting sustainable buildings on demand, basically, because what we do is we are a crowd building platform. And as a crowd building platform, we join the three basic group of people that we need to create a building in any town. One is the plot owner, obviously, the place where the building is going to be. The second one is the architect, who's going to be in charge of designing and developing the building itself. And the third, obviously, is the people who is going to live inside the neighborhood, or the final buyers, right? The common real estate model, the usual, traditional whatsoever, is always the same. There is this real estate developer who buys the plot, who hires the architect, and once the building is built, they try to sell the homes as best as they can. Sometimes they sell the homes, sometimes they don't. Actually, I'm in Spain, and here in Spain and around the world, basically, also there was a huge real estate problem in the 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And basically because there was an overproduction of real estate, of homes that no one wanted to live in. And yet they are still empty and no one wants to buy them, even though they are super cheap, let's say. Basically because they don't match with the people needs, because they don't align with their real lifestyles and so on and so forth, right? So what we thought was, what if instead of doing keeping producing buildings through selling stock, we try to rethink the producing system and we flip it down and we start producing on demand, meaning we first sell the homes before they are even constructed. And one building has all the homes sold, we create a community of people, the neighborhoods, and they are the owners, and they are the one who buy the plot and to hire the architect and to start building their own building that they already obviously needed because they paid for it upfront. It's really simple way of thinking, right? But I think until lately it wasn't possible because it needs a certain amount of technology and information that we didn't have before.
Mm-hmm. So it's so powerful. You're a platform that connects the three parties, and then instead of the traditional real estate or developer construction, you actually let the three parties to communicate with each other and collaborate, which I find
Mhm.
is super interesting. And coming back to what you mentioned just now, some houses they're developed, but no one will want to buy them because they don't fit consumer need. So coming from the experience you've been having with Designable, what are some new consumer trends that it's hard to find in old traditional buildings?
Well, definitely is open spaces.
Open space.
Yeah, basically after COVID or pandemic, basically pandemic times, people need to be outside. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter if it was in Spain or if it was in Netherlands when it's all cloudy and we needed air, to feel the air crossing through our faces. Um, but it wasn't an actual need just right before this. People was happy inside. Um, Human beings spend 80% of the time inside spaces.
Mm.
Most of the time is in their office, and the left spare time is at home. But we get home and we, like, let's say, set up with whatsoever we can afford. We don't become picky when it comes to home most of the time. But after the COVID and after spending all the time, 100% of the time at home, we realized that maybe our homes didn't match accurately our needs.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that is been coming for a long time. For instance, more open space inside, more communication between the kitchen and the living room, for instance. So there is no such thing as someone is cooking
Mm-hmm.
while someone is having a couple of wine, right? We can join these two culture at the same time, so we can share. Even I think you can make a better relationship between a family, a couple, or whatsoever, or friends, right? The same with bedrooms. Maybe we need less space there for dedicated stuff and more flexible spaces inside home that can work as home office during the morning and yoga station in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
All those change of lives has been happening in the last 10 years, more or less, with all the social network, Netflix, spending home for different uses, not only the TVs on the screen, right, in the TV.
Mm-hmm.
We can have TV here already.
Mm-hmm.
So everything changed, and out of the blue, let's say, and the real estate developers didn't see that coming, and they kept producing the same exactly kind and type of buildings, of
Mm-hmm.
homes, as 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. The demand and the offer every time is like farther is they are getting away.
Yes, what we are seeing here is really the lifestyle change that's drastically got pushed forward by the
Yeah,
pandemic. I think
definitely.
many people can echo with that. Like until I was quarantined home, I didn't realize that actually my apartment doesn't get so much sunlight. And before it was okay because I go home at night and it was totally fine. But absolutely. And I guess one interesting part about your buildings is the plot. Actually, you didn't get to highlight it yet, but it's not just wherever a plot in the city, right? How does Designable choose the spot to build the buildings?
Well, actually, we have um, we think that buildings not only can help to improve or to try to protect the environment through using recyclable materials or sources, renewable sources of energy, high efficiency energy, and so on and so forth. But also, we think they can make a change in the urban life, improving the life in the cities. by simply well, filling those spaces in town that they are empty, that no one knows why you are working through any town and you see an old building that no one seems to take care of, or an empty plot. You say, I will live here. Why no one is building here? And everyone is going outside to build like 200 homes in one building, right? Well, this is a matter of the traditional real estate system in order to get more benefits. But when it comes to people, when it comes to the city, when it comes to the health of of a city, it's way better to start packing people inside and to fill those spaces. So Designable has this system. Thanks to our system, where the real estate developer disappears from the equation. If people wants to live in town, now they can. They don't have to wait until someone decides to build a building here, but they actually have the option already because we offer them that. So all our plots are, let's say, selected because they are all in places in town where they can go walking everywhere, for instance. So you increase your lifestyle, you save time, and you stop using or abusing the car to do anything, right? You can go shopping, you can go jogging, you can go taking your kids to the park or to the school by walking. And this is a life changing.
Sure, definitely. And then I do. So a few days ago, I went to a workshop that's like a live survey style with audience participating with a panel to talk about the future of cities. And it's true that nowadays many people want to live in the countryside and then they start to move away from the cities. But majority, every center is being urbanized and everyone end up living in the center of a community in the city lifestyle. So which I think what you're developing is very key. And then not only the lifestyle change that you promote people to like walk more and connect better with their community. In terms of the building itself, when I check your website, every building you produce is about comparing to industry average minus 50% of CO2 emission. How did you achieve that? What kind of details come together to help you to get there?
Well, that is based on mainly three items. The first one is the material we use. They are either recycled one or eco-friendly, or they can have a longer lifespan, meaning that once the building is over and they have to take this down, maybe they can reuse most, or not most, but part of those kind of materials.
Can you give some examples of
For
the name of the
instance,
material? Mhm.
yeah, well, wood, for instance, is one of the most common ones. Aluminium, even so, is still the process of getting aluminium is not so, is a little bit contaminated, but aluminium is one of the longest lifespan materials we have at home, in windows, in beams, and so on and so forth. But basically wood, maybe también some kind of ceramics. They can be reused after 60 years of using. So I think that trying to understand that the CO2 emissions is not only what you do today, but what you are going to, what's going to happen once the building they has to be renovated, obviously.
Sure.
I think thinking on the circularity of that part is important. The second part is trying to keep the lowest energy consumption, especially when it comes to warmth or cold energy. Meaning when winter or summer, obviously, to the aircon, basically, or the warmer. So trying that the people inside home, they don't have to switch on at all, either the aircon or the heatings. How we can do that? Well, using high tech isolation systems in the windows, and also, well, when it comes to isolation, the facades or the rooftops or the middle walls between buildings or between homes, right? So what we do with each home is that each home actually is like a bunker
Okay.
with so low variability of temperature through the year. So that means that your consumption energy inside is pretty low. It's very efficient. And the third one is that the little energy you use, we try to that they come from renewable sources of energy, either from the network, the public network. We work with a company that only provide solar energy, okay? But then the building itself, it produces their own energy through one system, which is the rooftop solar energy. But also we use our thermal technology to warm or to cool the homes, meaning that with teeny tiny energy, we can keep the same temperature again, as I said before, through the whole year. All this makes that each of our buildings, when it comes to sustainability or to, I mean, trying to think how buildings should be, they are so close to being able to not need any energy outside the one they produce itself. And that's a huge achievement, because this is what's the future of the building we think they are.
Wow, yeah. Very impressive. Those details are something I wasn't like not exposed before in such detail, because if you think about traditional real estate, why didn't do it before? Is it because it's costly or it's because
Only and simple as
okay,
that.
the
It's too
cost is one.
expensive. Yeah. So basically, when you think as a real estate developer, you have to buy the plot, you have to pay the construction, you have to pay any other professionals, obviously, and license, taxes, and so forth. And when you add up all those costs, it turns out that the price of the home is quite high. If you add all the investment you have to do to increase the quality of the building, basically, which is what sustainable items do to a building,
Mhm.
obviously the price is higher.
Mhm.
So either they reduce their benefits or they cut on sustainability. And obviously
Sure.
you have the
And
answer.
then with Designable, before you buy the plot and then the construction, the money comes from the end consumer who are
They are paying for
crowdfunding.
their own money. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So they decided that, well, first, since there is no real estate developer in our system, there
Mhm.
is no one getting that benefit. So that benefit, we can use it to increase the quality of the building without, or let's say, keeping the price still at a mass product market price, right?
Uh-huh.
This is no luxury price. It's basically like any other construction price or home price, but with actually with almost 40% over investment when it comes to quality in the home or in the building.
Yeah, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So, have you run into any difficulties? Because now you're in Valencia, Madrid, and many other cities are you're going to open up. I assume buying plot and doing this kind of innovation is costly, no?
Yeah, well, actually, as you said, we just launched in Madrid this early in October, so lately, and it was a huge achievement because we have been in Valencia for already 3 years. Um, and definitely it's super hard what we do, because basically you are flipping down one of the most traditional industries, not only in the world, in the history. And actually, you are proposing something completely different, focused on the people and on the environment. And this is exactly what the real estate developers are not thinking at all, right? So really, you are facing all the time like bank system, for instance, they are ready for the traditional one, but they have a hard time when they try to put their mind in what we are doing and helping our people. It's like, okay, let's try again, because I see you don't get the final point, the bottom line. The same with the plots, right? The people who is selling the plots, they are used to exactly process from the real estate developers. And when we come to them and we say, hey, this is something different, we need this commitment from your side, but on the other side, you are going to sell sooner or higher price, or it's like, I don't know, I like the other one, right? So it's obviously the resistance, the human being resistance to change we are facing all the time. But thankfully, every time we are having more people looking for a designable home, we are opening, as you said, cities. We are looking for Barcelona, Malaga, Sevilla, Bilbao, so far in Spain in the next couple of years. And what we need is actually the power of the people. If the people is backing us and they say that they want our home, obviously we will keep fighting no matter what is happening. And that's what we are growing back, right? So I guess at some point the banks realize that our system is even more secure for them. There are more profit for them than the traditional one. The plot owner, they will realize that our way of our proposal to buying plots is way more transparent, is more efficient on time for them, is less risky for them, and they probably get more money for their asset than in the traditional one, but takes time. Yeah.
So for the building you've designed in Valencia, now there are people already living in them, I assume. How
Yeah.
long did it take you to start from buying the plot to people move in?
Well, the first building was our MVP. We started, it was pre-designable, actually. We did this as architects with my partner, with Pablo. Both we are architects. And basically we realized exactly what we started saying is designable about. We realized that there was a super old building in city center of Valencia. It was a pretty place, and no one looks to that building, and we didn't know why. Why was that? Because the price was slightly high, so a real estate developer couldn't fit their benefit into the product. So we say, hey, maybe we can just do what we do. I mean, we talk to the owner and we say, hey, we are architects, so why don't have the chance to design some nice homes, a nice building there, and we sell straight away to the final clients instead of the real estate developer. And they say, okay, it doesn't matter. It's been here for 6 years. You're not going to achieve anything, but I'm not losing anything. I say, okay, great. So this was in 2016 or 2016, yeah, or 2015 late. That was the first chance we had with the plot owner. We start selling homes in early 2016, and we closed the 6 homes. We sold the 6 homes within 4 months, I think, so mid-summer, 2016 summer. 1 year later, we were starting the construction, and 1 year later, we delivered the home. So from late 2018, they are already living in. And once we end up the project, we say, hey, this can work in anywhere where they have empty plots, local architects, and people who wants to buy a nice home at a fair price. So this is where we decided to start with Designable.
Cool. So from your side, do you own the team of construction?
No, it's contracted. I mean, we are only just a platform itself. We merge all the needs from all the people who needs to participate, from legal advice, construction, architects, the plot owner, the people, investments, if needed, banks, so on and so forth. We organize everything and we explain everyone who is going to be their role in the operation.
Uh-huh.
And we work with them.
I was asking because I'm thinking in the part of either renovation an existing building or building a new building, how who has to say about what material to use and where you should get them from? Because based on the city you're in, your access to resource can be very different, no?
Mhm. We work in this way with the local architects. They are also compromised with sustainability or sustainable principles, and all our buildings needs to fit the BREEAM. It's an international certificate of sustainable buildings called BREEAM, which is worldwide, which means that anywhere we go, anytime, we know our building is going to hit a minimum standard of sustainability and quality. So we work with architects that already know these certificates, and they know that certain percentage of material needs to be eco-friendly or recycler whatsoever. That they need to deploy renewable sources of energy in the building and so on. And the same with the construction companies. They work before with this kind of certificates, so they are used to work with them. This is how we make sure that the building is actually what we say. But on top of everything, Designable has a part on this because we have all the interior designers of the homes they come from our catalog. We are developing a catalog for interior design, and all those materials we have the partnership with the company. So the structure depends of the local architect, right? But the interior depends of Designable.
Mm-hmm. And they're actually really fancy looking interior designs by checking our
Well, yeah.
website.
Yes,
Very
definitely.
nice. So that comes to another interesting point. Is like there are so many ways of designing a building. How do you choose and how do you learn about your customer preference? I guess that comes to the point of our other side of the podcast is about data, right? How much data analytics is involved in the day-to-day work of Designable.
Mhm. Well, definitely the right answer is answering. I mean, yeah, questioning people, right? Asking people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, we started in a really, really simple way, which was through a form, and we asked people what they wanted in their home, and we realized about them, and you can't imagine how many things people want in their homes, and the market outside there is not actually blind to them. For instance, they want a corner in their window to drink a cup of wine. Those kind of chimney, even a fake one is okay for them. It's just to feel to have the atmosphere of confidence. So we learn a lot about what people actually wanted or needed in their homes. And from there, we designed a system of customization for their homes, which is actually a part of those. The process is actually our interior design styles, which come from all the learning through the past 3 years of asking people what they want with their styles. We have also a list of extras you can add to your home, such as I don't know, heating floor, or increasing the quality of the kitchen, or like the appliance in the kitchen. All those things, not all of them want those kind of things, but some of them do. So we are giving the opportunity to choose if they want or not. So, but on top of everything, this is this is the information we get from the people that we know. But to our app, nowadays, every month we get over 15,000 people coming to our app and playing with the configuration of the home. So we know more or less where is the trending going. That's why, for instance, we realized that a year ago, the homes with terrace were the more demanded. And we were able to actually change or redesign a building in real time almost in order to trying to fit some terraces in the building, in the homes, because we knew that people is what they wanted at that time and obviously in the future. So this is Payete is going to be closed yes in the coming weeks. So those are things that we can do because our system or actually on demand system allows to do. In the traditional real estate developer, all the buildings that didn't have any terrace is going to be there for 10 years. No one is going to live in there.
Yeah, it's all about the speed of information that gets into
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Very cool. And it seems that Designable is going pretty well. You have a good demand and you're growing. And what are the challenges you're facing right now?
Well, I think the main one is to introduce properly crowd building to the crowd, let's say. I mean, that the more people every time learn about what crowd building is and how it can help them to have a better home in a fair price, helping, I mean, being conscious with the buying through the with the environment in a way more transparent model. I think that's this is a challenge because everything new is cool, but I will let the other guy try first. So we need to start kicking off on that. The same with the plots and everything. So, but basically, is to introduce properly a crowd building and show that it works and it works fine and it's safe and it's better. And I think is the well, what I'm going to say obviously my kid, but obviously I think is the best way to live in town.
I see. And then where do you see yourself in 5 years in your landscape?
I don't know if the race to the space keeps the space in Mars. I don't know. No. Well, I think in 5 years our plan is to be at least in Europe, in some other countries in Europe. We plan to be in all Spain by 2023. And next year we start expanding to France, Netherlands, Germany, UK. That the crowd building, I mean, the crowd building philosophy is more likely to to be loved than Spain. Spain is a really rough territory, I have to say, to to start up with a crowd building platform. But yeah, I think yeah, in Europe.
Why do you think Spain is harder than other European countries?
Well, because the traditional real estate developer is so root here,
Oh.
is so heavy. The industry it touches every nerve of the country. It's in banks, it's in politics, it's in everywhere. So obviously, it's super hard to fight against them. Is I mean there is super heavy companies here, and they are able to produce 5,000 homes per year, 6, 10, 12, 25. Wow, so heavy, right? When you go to some other countries, they are a lot more atomized. There are smaller groups of real estate developers.
Yeah, now as we consume general day-to-day products, we are looking for local KM0 and we are looking for more customizable solutions. So I
Yeah.
think the disruption is definitely there, and it takes a lot of courage to disrupt such a stubborn sector, as you said. So
Yeah.
congratulations on your very successful initial steps.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And is there anything else you would like to add before we end the show?
Um, well, um, I think that if we keep in mind that buildings, even though we don't think about them in that way, because all the time it's about cars. Now is that looks like cars is going to solve the global changing problem. It's okay. It's cool that the car industry is shifting to a way more ecologic way, but buildings is a huge opportunity there. And you said something before quite interesting, that people seems like no one is going to live in the cities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually, I am a true believer that that's not true. I think that obviously someone is going to live outside, but human being, we are a crowd kind of species. We need people
Community.
around. Yeah, and obviously that's, you only have that in town. So towns have a huge challenge facing in the coming years, and we need to actually think now, because otherwise we are going to be late,
Mm-hmm.
on how the new buildings can help or can protect the environment, because otherwise in 30 years it's going to be too late. So I think the time is now.
Totally, totally. Well, buildings contribute to 1/3 of the global greenhouse emission. The big
Mhm.
number also means there is a huge room for improvement. And
Definitely.
exactly, that's the effort you're putting into it.
Mhm.
Very cool. So thank you for introducing such a cool concept to the audience. And I hope through this episode, our audience can also be inspired to check more options when they're considering purchasing real estate or advising people around them. And hopefully we'll see the change really happening, disruption happening, and we have more sustainable city, sustainable buildings.
That's
So
what we need.
thanks for coming to the show, Andres. And
Thank
Data for
you.
Future, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Tammy. Bye bye.